Okay, students, am I audible to you all? Am I audible to you all? Right, fine. Okay. So today, let's discuss section B, two more areas what we need to discuss, right? That is, one is test of controls. One is test of controls, right? Uh, Who is substantive procedures. One is test of control, who is substantive procedures. Okay. So if I take test of control, students, section B, question number 1, there's a high chance you will get 15 marks question. So high chance you will get 15 marks question. Normally, this time, you will get control deficiency questions and recommendations. Control deficiency and recommendations. Test of controls. Sometimes you might get test of control questions. Sometimes you might get control strength. Sometimes along with this, right? So first one is control deficiency recommendation. The chances are very high. Test of controls. Those two are the questions highly examinable to you, right? Along with that, they might ask control strength. They might ask about control objectives. So I think in my handout also I gave for each and every system, sales system, purchase system, payroll system, cash and bank system, inventory system, capital expenditure system. So for each and every system, we have certain objectives. So they might ask, what is the control objective of sales system? What is the control objective of purchase system? They might ask. That is also possible, right? Then number 5, COSO model internal controls. COSO model internal control elements. Fine. So these areas can be a theory question. First two areas, highly examinable. These are the questions possible this time. These are the questions possible this time. Right, now let's see how to assess control deficiencies and fine. First copy this. First copy this. For that 15 to 20 marks, yes, one of this can be tested. Right, but it is definitely deficiency and recommendation, sometimes deficiency recommendation and test of control. Okay, copy this. Now students, now students, your scenario, section B, the first scenario, section B, the first scenario. The scenario can be a sales system, can be a purchase system, can be a payroll system, can be an inventory system, can be property, plant and equipment system, can be property, plant and equipment system, right? Cash and bank. But students, this time for your exams, I'm expecting sales purchase as one combination. Sales system, purchase system. Or payroll system and inventory system. Payroll system or inventory system. Because they might test only one system or they might test combination of system. First they give the sales system. Again, they will give another paragraph related to purchase system. They will give payroll system. Again, they will give inventory system. So combined system possible. Combined system possible. So what I'm trying to tell you is, be prepared for these four systems first. What are the four systems? Questions, control deficiency, and recommendation. You should get ready for this question. You should get ready for this question. That is question type 1. And these two questions possible from sales purchase or payroll inventory. So please practice these questions clearly. In your control deficiency means, students, where control activity not met control objective. So we have a control activity, right? Let's say control activity in this class, I could say CCTV, right? Physical control. And every control activity have control objective also. Every control activity have what? Every control activity have what? Control objective. CCTV, what is the control objective? Supervision. So when control activity met control objective, CA, control activity is equals to CO, control objective. That control we call effective controls. That controls we call what? Effective control. When control activity is not equal to control objective, when control activity is not equal to control objectives. Let's say our control activity is CCTV camera. Control objective is supervision. Control objective is what? Supervision. But CCTV camera is looking upwards. CCTV camera is looking upwards. That is not met control objective. That is not met control objective. If that is the case, that is we call ineffective control. That is we call ineffective control. So deficiency means always looked at. Deficiency means always looked at control activity versus control objectives. Right? Authorized, not authorized. Authorized means, yes, it's a control activity. Spam soap. I told you control activity when I teach. Spam soap. Segregation of duty. Physical controls. Authorization. Management control. Supervision. Organization control. Arithmetical control. And personal control. So these are the controls will be given in your case study. If those controls are not met controls objective, that is we call deficiency. So when you are writing deficiency, students, answering structure, issue, explain the issue. Because always we should write answer in the form of table. Always we should write answer in the form of table. So first of all, explain the issue. First of all, explain the issue. What is the core problem? Second one, impact to financial statements. Sorry, impact to organization. Audit risk, yes, we are writing impact, but audit risk impact is to what? Financial statement. But here we are writing impact. That impact to who? Which? Where? Organization. So organization impact. Organization impact. Is that clear? And when it comes to recommendation, don't forget one thing. Recommendations are controls. Recommendations are what? Controls. When you are writing recommendation, you should recommend a control. Because deficiency control activity is not met control objective. In the recommendation, you should recommend a control. Such control should be equal to control. Control activity should be equal to control object. Control activity should be equal to control object. So when control activity not met control objective, that is we call deficiency. That's why we are writing that issue, and we are writing as a result of that deficiency, how your organization going to be affected. But when we are writing recommendation, we should write the controls. But that controls should be an effective control. That's why we are writing CA is equal to CO type. Is my explanation understood? Therefore, practice purchase system, practice sales system, practice more payroll system and inventory. I'm not saying that you should not practice other systems. These 4 systems you should prioritize. Am I clear? Is that clear? Is that clear? Is students understood? Now I'm going to elaborate this. Let's see the second possible questions in your final exam. The second possible questions in your final exam. If your examiner want to test you more detail, the examiner want to test you more detail, examiner can ask like this. This is more extended version of the question, right? Control deficiency. Control deficiency. Control recommendation. Third one is test of control. Definitely either first type or second type will be tested in your exam this time. This time, either first one or second one is definitely tested. Right. So probably it will be a combination of 2 systems. Probably it will be a combination of 2 systems, but I'm telling definitely it's tested either type 1 or type 2. I think I logically proved in the class how these questions are formed. That flow charts and all we discussed. I'm not in a position to discuss everything here, but I'm just telling because it's closer to exam. Control deficiency, control recommendation, and test of control. Control deficiency, you know how to write because control deficiency is where your control activity is not met control object. So when you are writing control deficiency, first take the issue. Second, take the impact. Not impact to financial statement, it is impact to organization. Control recommendation is what? You are suggesting a control. That control should be control activity is equal to control objective. You are suggesting a control. You are suggesting a control. Now, when they ask test of control, most of the students will go again and read the case study. When they ask test of control, don't read case study because that is not the question. That's a major mistake that we all do. Deficiency is from what? Case study. Recommendation is from what? The problem should be resolved. So the problem deficiency CA is not equal to CO. Now I am telling, I am putting a control. That control should be CA is equal to CO. So that is a control. That is what we call recommendation. But test of control. What are you going to write under test of control? Test of controls means already you suggest a control here. Already you suggest a control here. Now you going to perform procedures. You're going to perform procedures to check whether you suggested a control, whether such control is met control objective or not. Whether such control is met its objective or not. That is we call test of control. That is we call test of control. So try to understand this and try to link all these things properly. Control deficiency means from the case study, control activity not met, control objective. That's why we identified that as a deficiency. Is that clear? Second one, we are providing a recommendation. In that recommendation, control activity should equal to control objective. That is my recommendation. Now I told management, okay, ISA 265. Recommendation is what? ISA 265. That standard clearly said, control deficiencies need to be communicated with charge with governance. So we are communicating the deficiencies to charge with governance. We are communicating the deficiencies to charge with governance. That is we call control but recommendation. Now the third question is test of control. Don't go for the case study because already we identified the deficiency. Already we provide recommendation. Provided recommendation is implemented by management or not. For that, we should do the test of control. So it's very linked, right? See, I am an auditor. I'll go to client place. Control is deficient. I identified. I'm telling do this. That is recommendation. Test of control, I'm checking what I suggested, what I recommended is implemented or not. That is called test of control. Don't try to write test of control based on the case study, then your answer is wrong. Sometimes you might see it is correct. When you are writing, the flow might be correct, but you logically are not connecting, it is wrong. So whatever the control suggested by yourself, for such controls only you should write test of. So let's make it very simple to make you understand. There was a case study, it says, it's about the, let's say, sales system. The case study said, sales invoices are not sequentially numbered. Sales invoices are not sequentially numbered. Sales invoices are not sequentially numbered. Sequential numbering is an arithmetical control. Sequential numbering is a physical control. Yes or no? Let's say Sri Lanka, NIC, National Identity Card number, have a number. In India, PAN card number, Aadhaar card number. It's a number. Number is a control. Your birth certificate, BC, number. BC number is sequential. It should be sequential. It's an arithmetical control. When your sales invoices are sequentially numbered, right, completeness can be verified. Completeness is an assertion. That completeness is the objective. You can satisfy that objective by preparing sequential order. You can meet that objective by preparing sequential order. See? So, arithmetical control, it's a control activity. And your financial statement, the invoice, sales invoice means receivable balance, complete. Sales, income statement, complete. See the objective. Therefore, it is not sequentially numbered means it's a deficiency. Why? Because I identified this as control activity is not met control object. Now I am writing control deficiency. See, simple. I am taking from the issue, case study. Sales invoices are not sequentially numbered. Sales invoices are not sequentially numbered. Now I am writing the impact to organization. I am writing the impact to organization. How I am writing? It is very simple. First one, sales invoices are not sequentially numbered is my issue, the impact. If there is any invoices missed, it is very difficult to identify. This will affect completeness or else sales figure. And this will create unprocessed order. This will create unprocessed order. Unprocessed order means in the sense what? If the sales invoices are not sequentially numbered, if you missed a sales invoice, how are you going to record? You missed that order. Goods are sent. In the accounts, it is not reflected. Goods are dispatched. In the accounts, it is not reflected. Right. And it will create a bad publicity to organization because I send goods to customer, but I didn't send invoice to customer. So this is what the deficiency. This is how you should write the deficiency. Then control recommendation is what? What is the recommendation? Control recommendation is sales invoice should be sequentially numbered. Sales invoice should be sequentially numbered. I am recommending a control. Don't stop with that one. Because if you want to pass, that is enough. Those who wants to get a prize, rank, focus more. I'm writing a control recommendation. Sales invoices need to be sequentially prepared. Periodically, we need to perform sequence check. Periodically, we need to perform sequence check. Periodically, we need to perform a sequence check, right? Because it's a control. So even yesterday, right, at PPIM, I asked a staff, account staff, to take a stock count and the asset count. Just I asked, take all the assets count. Because I want to see, once the count is done, physically, how much of asset existed. Then I asked them, take the asset register. Right. Put a pivot table, put everything together and compare whether both are same. What is physically there and what is recorded in the asset register, and then compare this with the ledger. If all three are correct, same, then your asset is free from misstatement. Simple, right? Because service organization like PPM and all, the major capital C plus L is equals to A. The major portion of your capital is converted to asset. So it's my duty. I'm an auditor, right? I'm an accountant, right? So as auditor, it's my duty to implement control the organization that belongs to. So when I was feeling like always I should check something, means I should check the assets at service organization. Because C plus L is equals to A. If the A is correct, make it very simple. The accounts is correct. Simple analytical procedure. So once in every month, if we do that, that's simple. And then I should check the controls related to the asset is good or not. Is also my. So likewise, sequentially not prepared, the impact we discussed. And I asked them to prepare sequential order. Periodically, I will check whether it is sequentially prepared or not. That is the control. Recommendation. Test of control. Test of control. I asked them to do this. Test of control. See, I'm writing test of control for my recommendation. What is my recommendation? It should be sequential order. Select a sample of sales invoice and review whether it is sequentially prepared or not. A general answer. If I'm little technical, right, I can use application controls. Yes or no? I can use application controls. Computer assisted audit technique, can you remember? Test data and audit software. Through audit software, what we can do is, right, simply, we can do a sequential check. We can do a sequential check. In that case, no need to select the sample. Entire population, entire sales invoice, you can run through the system and identify whether it is sequentially prepared or not. Second test of control. Third one, I asked them to review sequential check. I asked them to perform sequence check periodically. So I should discuss with management how frequently sequence check is performed. All these things are test of controls. This is the logical connectivity between these three. Right? Therefore, first identify the deficiency. That is, CA is not equal to CO. Then provide recommendation. That is, you are suggesting a control. Then provide test of control, where simply it's a procedure over your recommendation. Simply it's a procedure over your recommendation. Students, definitely type 1 or type 2 will be tested. And this time it should be a combination of two systems. I don't know what is that combination, right? But definitely it's from purchase system, sales system, payroll system, and inventory system. It can be inventory plus sales, purchase and payable. Generally, that's how they mix. Inventory with sales, Purchase or payroll. Payroll or sales. They can combine at any level. Is my explanation understood? Students understood? If you understood this, you are getting 15 marks. You are getting how many marks? 15 marks. So you are focusing for 15 marks. And now most of the students, they are lacking this TOC, test of control part. So I explained that also. Prepare this. Right. Today for Indian students, yesterday I got a text, Gopulnath. Okay, don't worry. I'll share substantive procedures and all the theory, whatever the materials I have, I shared with you. Right. So in that material, I summarized everything, substantive procedure. I summarized everything, test of controls. So just go through, then you get a clear idea. You can get a clear idea. Right? Right. With that knowledge, students, with that knowledge. Sir, can you explain the procedures again? 1 minute. Afsar, what do you mean? Procedures mean this area? Or you are talking about substantive procedures? This area, fine, wait, I'll explain, don't worry. Venkatgiri, sir, test of control, do we need to write all three? One. If you feel that you have time, right, try to write all three together. That give more weight. That give more weight. Okay. A test of controls means, absolutely, it's like this. Control deficiency simply control activity is not met control objective. Right. For that only I told you an example. Sales invoices are not sequentially numbered. Sales invoices are not sequentially numbered. It's a deficiency. As a result of that, there is an impact to organization. If any sales invoice we missed, problem, completeness. Missing invoices, that we are not covering that. It's a revenue loss to company. Customers, goods received, invoice is not received. So all these things create problems. That is, you can write. Control recommendation means you are suggesting a control. You are suggesting or recommending a control. So my recommendation is what? Simple. Finance invoice, sales invoice should be sequentially prepared. Sales invoice should be sequentially prepared. One control. Another control I can suggest, periodically management should review. Periodically management should review sequential check. These are the two controls I gave. Right. So test of control, I am writing test of control for my first control. My first control is what? What is my first control? My first control is sequentially prepare. Sequential order. Sales invoice should be what order? Sequential order. Sales invoice should be what order? Sequential order. That is my first control. For that first control, what I covered here, for that I am writing a procedure. You studied procedure. What are the procedures? ISA 500, inspect, observation, recalculation, reperformance, and inquiry, ARP, confirmation. There is one more procedure, students. That procedure only applicable to controls. All other procedures are applicable to test of controls and also substantive procedure. But this last procedure is only applicable to controls. That is, we call computer assisted audit technique. When controls are IT controls, you might study general control and application control. When controls are IT controls, for IT controls, it's better to apply computer assisted audit technique. That is the procedure. That is the procedure for IT control. CAT is the procedure for what control? IT control. So those are procedures general. Now I am writing a procedure for the sequential order. What is the procedure? Simple. First one, for this control, select a sample of sales invoice and review sequential order. I am selecting a sample of sales invoice and seeing whether it is sequentially prepared or not. Whether it is sequentially prepared or not. That is we call what? Test of control. That is we call what? Test of control. So this How test of control differ from substantive procedure? Substantive procedure, directly I am testing a financial statement element against the assertion. Sales completeness. Purchase cutoff. That is substantive procedure. But test of control means same procedure, same inspect, same observation, same recalc. But I'm testing whether control activity met control objective or not. Control activity met control objective or not. CA is equal to CO or CA is not equal to CO. Testing that we call test of control. Here I am testing. I am taking sample of sales invoice. I am not recalculating discount. If I am recalculating discount, I am testing accuracy. That is substantive procedure. I am taking the same sales invoice, but I am inspecting what? Whether it is sequentially prepared or not. Sequential order is a control. Therefore, it is a test of control. So, test of control means control procedures. Second control I said, periodically review sequential order. I can say sequential check. Periodically review what? Sequential check. Whether it is sequentially prepared or not, periodically we should check. Second test of control, what I am telling you is, this can be manually done, but it will take more time. Let's say in a company, how many sales invoice we have? Therefore, normally sales, everything, if you go to a supermarket, right? In India, if you go to D-Mart, if you go to Lulu, right? Sri Lanka, if you go to Cargill's, right? Or if you go to Kills, right? They use direct data capturing method. Simple example is barcode, right? So data is captured directly. So everything goes to ERP system. So normally in the practical sales is happening through ERP, direct data capturing method. So it's an IT control. It's an IT control. For IT control, how I'm going to inspect everything in detail? No, because if you take Cargill's or if you take DMart, per day, how much of volume of transaction they have, how much of sales invoices they have. I can't physically investigate everything. That's why I'm telling, we'll work with that ERP. That is we call computer assisted audit technique. When controls are IT controls, apply CAT. Test data and audit software. I'm applying audit software, and through audit software, it's like a word program. I can run sequential check because all the sales invoices are integrated to ERP system. So I can perform a sequential. Third procedure, I can investigate from management how frequently you all are performing sequential check. How frequently you all are performing sequential check. Now Afzal understood. Procedures understood. Venkatagiri. So while writing the recommendation, can we write the deficiency as a control? Example, if invoices are not sequential numbered, yes, simple. You are writing a control. Deficiency is also a control. Deficiency is also a control, but that control not met control object. Recommendation is a control, but that control met control object. Test of control is a procedure over effective control. Over recommendation, effective control. That's the logical connection between these. Okay, right. Try to understand. These are small explanations only, but it makes big impact when it comes to case study. Because I know some students, sir, I'm reading. I ask, what is the question verb? Question verb is test of control. Then why are you reading? Because you already read the case study. Section A is control deficiency and recommendation. You read the case study. You write deficiency. You write recommendation already. Section B is test of control. Again, why you are reading? Because test of control is not correlated to the scenario. Test of control is based on your control recommendation. Right? Answer based on the control recommendation. Don't waste time. So if you understood all these small things, that's how you can plan your answer effectively. Right. So let's take the question. Let's take a question. See, I told you earlier. Fine. See, read first answer, first question. A, it's a theory question. Theory question is also related to internal controls only. Right. Under internal control, what are the things you study? What is internal control? Limitations of internal control, Pozo model internal control elements, internal control documentation methods, advantages and disadvantages, IT controls, general controls, application controls, all these things only now you studied. Here, they are asking 4 marks question from control documentation. 4 marks question from control documentation. It can be ICQ, internal control questionnaire. It can be ICEQ, internal control evaluation questionnaire. It can be narrative notes. It can be flowchart. They're asking advantages and disadvantages. 4 marks, simple marks, bonus marks. Don't lose it. Now let's look at the second one. Second question. Did they ask deficiency? Did they ask deficiency here? No, they didn't ask deficiency. What they asked? Key control. Key control means control recommendation. How are you going to test that control? So that the combination is possible. Control deficiency and recommendation. Recommendation is key control. Recommendation and test of control. That's how it's linked. Case study, control deficiency, control recommendation, test of control. It is interconnected. It is interconnected. So they ask us to identify 4 controls recommendation for payroll system. So 4 key controls and 4 test of controls, which means 4 control recommendation and 4 control test of controls. Then in the scenario, what they might provided? The scenario they discussed about deficiencies. In the scenario they discussed about deficiency. For that deficiency, you are providing a recommendation. That is key control. For that recommendation, you are writing test of control. That's the meaning of the question. Students, let's do this question. Let's do this question. Read this case study. Read this case study. I'll give 5 minutes. Read this case study. Identify 4 recommendation controls and type test of controls. Do it. Do it. Important. Sir, screen is not clear. Now see. Shiva, the material is with you, right? Because all these are like scanned document, right? Document is not typed one, it's a scanned one. So scanned documents, the clarity is less. Okay. That's why I shared the document with you all. Okay. So try to use that one and try to figure out. Quickly do it. Please type your answers. I want to see the way of your answering structure. Right. Then I will criticize. Take all the criticism positively. Right. So I can criticize. I can see your answers and tell you these are the mistakes that you are making. Okay. Therefore, type at least 1 key control and the test of controls. Do it. Okay, here see students. Review answers. Right. The company employs 200 staff, of whom 120 of these staff are delivery drivers. All staff work as standard 8-hour shift each day and paid monthly. All staff members are required to clock in, clock out using sequentially numbered key card which contain their unique employee number and name. So here it's a control. So this control is effective control because clock in, clock out, clock in, clock out, plus it is sequentially numbered. It is sequentially numbered. It's a good control. So key controls, see here, when I read your answers, try. It says key controls. So sequence check on a key cards and data recorded clocking system are carried out by HR supervisor on a regular basis. The clock-in progress is monitored by a camera. That is also a control, CCTV. To the distribution center, weekly checks carried out by HR department and review the video footage to ensure that no staff member clocks in for someone else. Good control. Recordings are kept in date order HR department and logged on a spreadsheet together with the name person have reviewed footage. right? So here, when you explain the key control, when you're explaining key control, there is a clock in, clock out system using sequentially numbered key card. And that key card include all the details, especially the name, unique number of employee. And they do sequence check, right? So this is effective control. They perform the sequential check. But test of controls, what you should write. Review the details of the checks that we performed, that carried out by HR supervisor, whether it is performed or not, and whether it is authorized by approved or appropriate responsible person or not. Right. So now you know how to apply or how to write control deficiency, how to write control recommendation, how to write test of controls. Right. Again, I'm telling, go with sales, go with payroll, go with inventory, and go with purchase. Right. Now, students, heading right down, substantive procedures. Substantive procedures. Substantive procedures. You all know, when it comes to substantive procedures, students, there are a few things we need to understand. In your exam, I can say like minimum 20 to 30 marks this time, right? 20, maximum 20 to 30 marks, right? So this time also, the topic will be tested. It can go up to 20 marks. Sometimes, yes, more than 20 marks also possible. 30 marks can be tested. So now, what I'm asking here, when you're talking about the substantive procedures, I'm expecting procedure questions 4 types. I'm expecting procedure questions 4 types. One is section A. This time, there is a high, not everyone, right? Again, I'm telling, because the questions are get rotated, right? So some students might get, some students might not get, but there is a possibility. In your section A, audit evidence plus audit procedures can be tested. Can be tested. Is that clear? Can be tested. Maximum focused on ISA 500, focused on ISA 500 is evidence, sufficient and appropriate evidence, focused on ISA 505, confirmation, positive circularization, negative circularization, that confirmation, and ISA 520, analytical review procedures, right, plus substantive procedures. I'm expecting this. I'm expecting this for section A for 10 marks. For 10 marks. The case study speaks about confirmation. Case study speaks about assertions. Case study speaks about evidence along with procedure. right? That is one thing. I think in the Kaplan mock paper, when we discuss Kaplan mock paper, I think progress paper, we discussed this type of questions. We discussed this type of questions. I think in India, most of the students said that MCQ is difficult. That MCQ is difficult. Okay. So please practice procedures plus evidence related section A procedure questions. Section A procedure questions. Second one, the other portions are section B. Other portions are section B. Other portions are section B. Section B. Some questions are direct questions, right? That is procedures over elements of financial statements. Right. Example, I can tell you. Procedures over sales. Procedures over sales, procedures over revenue, sales, revenue, receivables, payable, purchases. An element of the financial statement, how you're going to verify. Fine. For this, I gave you all the procedures in my handout. So what I can do is procedures are standard procedures, standardized procedures. So you can by heart and you can write down. So the procedures are what procedures? It is standardized procedures. So when procedures are standardized procedures, simply you can by heart and you can rewrite those procedures. Simply you can by heart and you can rewrite the procedures. But another type of question possible, that is little difficult for you all, where they ask you to write down procedures over specific assertion of elements. Procedures over specific assertion of an element, the financial statement. Right. I can say, example, there was a question that we discussed in the class also. Completeness completeness, rights and obligation of receivables. Earlier, standardized procedure is what? Procedures over receivables. Second one is what? Only completeness and right and obligation of receivables. So you can't write receivable valuation. You can't write receivable existence. You can't write procedures over receivables classification or presentation. Only completeness and rights and obligation. Two assertions, receivable, you should satisfy. Two assertions, receivable, you should satisfy. This is called procedures over specific assertion. This time, I told you 20 marks possible maximum, right? 20 to 25, 30. I expect 40% of that marks comes here, where you can by heart and you can write procedures. So if you by heart the procedures which I gave, I covered entire income statement and I covered entire balance sheet. 40% you can cover. At 10%, you can cover procedures of specific assertions, which means 50% is done for these two. Let's say 20 marks means 10 marks for this. 30 marks means 15 marks for this. this mix. Section B, the last one, these recent past papers, especially question number 3. Especially question number 3, now examiner is testing in this way. Part A, B, C, D. Part A, B, C. All 3 substantive procedure. Part D is impact. Impact to audit report. Part D is impact to audit report. That we discussed yesterday. First 3 questions are like they will give you a scenario. Based on that scenario, there is a mistake. For that, we should perform procedures. You understood what I'm telling? There is a what? Scenario. For that scenario, consist misstatements. For that misstatements, we should deal with procedures. How are we going to resolve that problem? How are we going to resolve that issue? These procedures are normally students, not assertion-focused procedure. Actually, it's assertion-focused procedures only, but for your level, most of the students who are studying may not be able to capture, it's an assertion issue. So I make it very simple. Here, it's an accounting standard perspective. To understand that, you should know accounting standard. Accounting standard perspective. Accounting standard perspective. Right. Therefore, this third type of substantive procedures question, a scenario given, based on the scenario, they discuss some issues, right? Misstatements. Misstatements means what? It can be an inherent or it can be a control. Misstatement, management side. And what procedure you can going to write here. So this is similar to audit risk. Audit risk also we wrote response for procedures. Here also same type of response procedures we should write. So when we are getting a standard based case study substantive procedures, I am expecting 50% of marks of our total substantive procedure can be covered by these type of questions. Therefore, don't just by heart procedure and keep confident I can score, I can do all the procedure questions. No, procedure questions can be tested in different dimensions. Right. So it's pretty good if you are really good in procedures by hearting everything, 40% done. And if you are really good, 10% is also you can take. But you should be thorough with accounting standards in order to do third type of one. These are the possibilities. These are the possibilities that can be tested in substantive procedures perspective, maximum 20 to 30 marks. Way of testing, understood? Is that clear, students? How this can be tested first? Is that clear? Please copy this. Hereafter, you have some more days, right? Prepare in this way. So substantive procedures, prepare in these 4 ways. Take MCQs first, section B, 40%, 10%, 50%, try and practice. Try to practice more. Recent past papers, if you see, that scenario type is there, right? Practice as much as you can. Practice as much as you can, right? Quickly copy this. Then I'll explain the verbs. Then we go for the question. Okay, do it. Right. Now, students, I'll explain the verbs. I'll explain the verb. Don't forget this for MCQ. This knowledge is very much important because there are a lot of questions on procedures, and this time also I'm expecting procedure questions. So it's like this. If the verb is audit procedures, if the verb is audit procedures that include test of control plus substantive procedures. Any question, if they ask audit procedures, you can write test of control procedures and substantive procedures. That you should know. Because most of the students, even some lecturers also don't know, right? If audit procedures means only substantive procedures. No, audit procedures means you can write test of control, you can write substantive procedures. MCQ, it is meta. MCQ, it is meta. Right, MCQ, it is meta. Okay. Therefore, in MCQ, if they said audit procedures, read test of control, take it. Substantive procedures, take it. Sometimes even section B also. They might give you a verb called audit procedures. If the verb is audit procedures, obviously, you can include test of controls and substantive procedures. Suppose if the verb is substantive procedures, if the verb is substantive procedures, if the verb is substantive procedures, okay, then only substantive procedures you can write. Here you can't write what? Test of controls. But substantive procedures also, you can write two things. One is test of detail. Two is analytical review procedures. Two is analytical review procedures, ARP. That is we call substantive procedures. So you can write ARP, you can write test of detail also. Sometime in your exam paper, they might ask a verb substantive analytical procedures. They might ask substantive analytical procedures. If they ask substantive analytical procedures, then don't write test of detail. Only ARP you can write. Only ARP you can write. Is my explanation understood? The verbs, if you know this, it's really helpful for you all if you are handling section A questions most of the time. Because section B, mostly substantive procedures or audit procedures. Right? Is that clear, students? Meaning of the verbs understood? Students, meaning of the verbs understood? Is that clear? Is that clear? This is Indian students, you all know these things, right? I explained in the class also. Sri Lankan students, is that clear? Is that clear now? Because when it comes to audit evidence, you might study it. I'll go a little detail for them. Sources of audit evidence. Sources of audit evidence. Lahiru might teach you this under ISA 500. See, sources of audit evidence, students, two types. One is test of control. One is test of control. Two is substantive procedure. Substantive procedures include test of detail and analytical review procedures. So audit procedures means it's include everything. Substantive procedures means it's include test of detail and AR. Analytical procedures means it's only this. Sri Lankan students understood. It's a very basic thing that you should know in order to write answers. In order to write answers. Sri Lankan students understood. Is that clear? Afsal understood. Inshifa, is that clear? Is that clear? Fine. Okay. Indian students, fine. Indians, okay. Are you okay with this platform or the Zoom class what we did? But you feel comfortable in terms of your concentration and learning? Are you comfortable with this? This is better, right? Okay, fine. So, like, okay, okay, fine, good, no, fine, fine. Then, is it okay if I do an extra class on Saturday? Because I told you I want to discuss pre-mock paper with you all, right? I thought of doing that paper. Before that, I need to finish it off that MCQ question, section A. So MCQ section A question, suppose if I do this Saturday, are you comfortable? Because Saturday I have lectures here, audit lectures, right? So if I do a session by like 5:30, are you comfortable, Indians? Sri Lankan students, are you okay? Because I think you all have lectures, right, Saturday? Zian might take evening. After Zian's class, I'm telling. Is that fine? If I start at 5:30, so 5:30, I don't know at what time I'm going to finish, right? I'll finish it off all the section A questions, right? I'll do all the section A questions. So next Tuesday, again, we are meeting next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, what I'll do is, I can do the pre-mock paper. I can do the pre-mock paper. Okay, fine. Now, students, with that, let's move to the question. Deficiency and recommendations. See here, the verb. When you are here after, sir, can we have it at 6? Reason, sir? Is there any specific reason? Shall I tell you my schedule? Right. All these are not in my plan, huh? Right. So morning, like 1 o'clock to 1 to 5, I have lectures here, Audit Assurance. Okay. So 5:30 to like 8:30, I thought of doing an extra class for you guys. Let's say 9 to 12, I have class at Maldives. Right? After that, I should go to Canada because Sunday full day I have lectures at University of Peradeniya for MSc students. The whole day I will be there. Right. So if I delay this, I should delay this also. Okay. If I delay this, it take time to go home. The whole day Sunday I have lectures. Okay. So is there any valid reason? So actually, I want to start little early, but Jian also doing a session, right? So let's make it 5:30. Okay, fine, fine. Thanks. Okay. Because the month of November is not easy for me, right? Very difficult to get time. Okay. See here. Substantive procedures is the verb. Substantive procedures is the verb. Now you know what to write. You can write test of detail. Test of detail means, students, simply assertions. Inspect, observation, recalculation, reperformance, and confirmation. And also you can write ARP. But always I am telling, don't write too much of ARP. It is easy to write ARP. Compare current year with previous year. Compare current year with budget figure. Compare current figure with industry figure. It is easy. But don't write too much. Let's say 6 marks means how many procedures you write? You should write 6 procedures. So the composition is test of detail for ARP2. That is good. Test of detail is for ARP is good. 2. Right? So they ask substantive procedures for payroll expense. First type. Verb is substantive procedure over financial statement element. So it's very comfortable. By heart, write it here. By heart, write it here. Is that clear? Right. Now, okay, fine. I'll give 2 minutes. Type at least 2 procedures. I want to see your answers. Type 2 procedures. This is your question number 1, na? 30 marks question. From question number 1, how many marks? 6 marks, substantive procedure. That substantive procedure is what? General. Any assertion you can write. Any assertion you can write. Okay. Copy this first. Write down two procedures I want to see. Write down two procedures I want to see. Compare the total payroll expense. One minute. Let's start from the beginning. I would read this. Obtain the total payroll expense during the year, compare with the previous year, and discuss the variance with management. Okay, ARP. Obtain breakdown of provision and cost into accuracy and payroll figures financial statement. Correct. Select a sample of wages paid during the year. Match them to standard rate per hour during the period to ensure accuracy. Good. Huh? Good. Agree the individual payroll payments to the post-year-end payroll records. Individual payroll payments to the post-year-end payroll records. Okay. Because normally, like, we are talking about the subsequent. Compare budgeted and actual payroll figures. Okay, fine, correct. Abhinaya, obtain the post-year-end cash payment list. Okay. Related to the payroll and agree the balance to the financial statement and trial balance, arithmetical accuracy. Okay. In Shifa, compare the total payroll expense, prior year budget industry. Okay. Review monthly payroll charges, compare with prior any issues. In Shifa, both your procedures are ARP. Okay. Recalculate net gross profit, verify payroll records, net profit, gross profit. Pranish, I'm not happy with the procedure. In Shifa, can you try a test of detail also? Because both of your procedure is ARP. I told you the ratio, right? 4:2. Can you try some other procedures, detailed procedures? Because I couldn't find any TOD from you. Venkat, good. Abhinaya, good. Good. And Hridiman, good. Very good. Practice move. Fine. These type of procedures are easy. Now, students, let's come to the next part. See, I'll tell you the importance of reading technical article. This is the same year. I think it is 2020 or 21. The paper. The year is 2020 or 21. So, in 2020, students, there was a technical article published in ACCA. Still, that article is there, trying about professional skepticism. And they asked that for 3 months. So please read technical articles. There are a lot of technical articles. Please read it. Okay. Question number 3. I told you, section B, question number 3. See, this is question number 3. Okay. Case study is given. They gave case study. See, first question. Substantive procedures. Substantive procedures. Verb, important. Substantive procedure auditor should perform to obtain sufficient appropriate evidence related to the matters identified regarding inventory valuation. Inventory valuation, it is not a procedure of inventory. Inventory valuation of a particular company. Then you should read that problem first. Here, see. You should read that problem. For this problem, there is a possibility of misstatements. Maybe a standard problem, maybe an assertion problem. Maybe a standard problem, maybe an assertion problem. That we need to study first. After that only we can able to write procedures for that. Right. So now, try out this question, first one only. Describe the substantive procedures. Here you can't write assertions, ARP and all. Just look at what is the standard problem. Try to understand what is the standard or assertion. Meet that requirement. 6 marks. 6 procedures you should write. Second question, if you take again, substantive procedures they ask over receivable balance of what happened to that receivable, I don't know. Case study, again, 4 marks, total 10 marks. Third one, substantive procedures over legal claims over contamination, 5 marks. So 15 marks plus 6, 21 marks substantive procedure question. I told you, 21 marks, only 6 marks what? Financial statement element. The balance 15 marks is what? Case study. So if you are writing procedures, okay, third one you are writing procedures over provision, second one you are writing procedures over receivable. Without reading that scenario, you should not write the answer. You can't just by heart. You can get an idea, but you can't just by heart. Therefore, first we'll take inventory valuation. Read this case study. Read this case study. Read this only inventory valuation. Try to understand what is the possible issue there. Can be a standard issue or it can be an assertion issue. Then work out. Then work out. That matters. Okay. At least I try to write 2 procedures. Then because most of the students are struggling on this type of questions. Yes or no? To be frank, Indian students, are you comfortable with this? Compare with those two. Okay, right? This one is little discomfort. When it comes to case study, little discomfort. Right. So let's do it. Let's do it. So read only inventory valuation and then think and type your procedure. I'll discuss in detail. I'll discuss this in detail. Do it. What is the procedure? First read. Think what is the value. Also, what is the standard or what is the assertion? If it is a standard, think about the standard. Try to meet that standard need. For that, what you should do? Write down the procedure. Similar to risk response. You have to think similar to risk response. Do it. Here, students, first we'll read the problem. P company, okay, it is 1st of July 2005. P company manufactures and sells a variety of food for dogs and cats. Your firm, K company, has audited the company for number of years. You are about commence final audit. Try to understand when you are reading a case study, students, you should apply your ISA knowledge also. So most of the lecturers, what they do is they will not explain the standard perspective. That's why you are difficult to understand where we are. Okay, see here, we are at the final audit. So actually it's in the active duty period under ISA 560. So we have the right to modify the report. Okay. Year end is 31st March. Draft financial statement shows 23.51 million. Total asset shows 99.2 million. P company launched a new brand of vegan dog food. Vegan dog food. Vego dog. In December 2004, when is my year end? 31st March, during the financial period. But sales have been lower than expected, and the directors are considering discounted sales price. When sales price is discounted, sales price will reduce. Net realizable value is equals to estimated selling price minus estimated selling cost. So selling price is reducing. Demand reducing means selling cost will increase. You should do more marketing and awareness. Vigo dog products are valued using a standard costing method, and the standard cost comprises raw material, labor cost, production overhead. This is also matter. Now, IAS 2 standards inventory. Right, I'll explain 100%. I need 50% only for you. Okay, I can't teach 50%. I should teach 100%. So case studies and all, when I'm analyzing at 100%. Right. So that is the maximum level a person can analyze. Right. But I'm not expecting the same from you all. I'm expecting only 50%. That's fine. Keep that in your mind. IAS 2 standard speaks about cost. NRV. Whichever is lower should be selected. If I take cost, standard said cost include purchase price, conversion cost, and the direct cost, production overheads. And the cost exclude abnormal losses. And you can't use marginal costing system because marginal costing system is prohibited. Only absorption cost system is allowed. And non-production overheads should be removed. Is that clear? Vigo dog products with a standard cost of 2.4 million included within the finished good. So 2.4 million worth of standard cost. So simply what they are telling is they are using absorption costing method. That I should check because they said production overhead. If the production overhead include only variable production overhead, then it is marginal costing. If that production overheads include fixed production overheads also, then it is absorption costing system. I should check that now. Because standard said marginal costing is not allowed, absorption costing only allowed. That is first thing I should check. Second thing, they said production overhead. That is also I need to check here because non-production overheads, you cannot put under production overhead. That I should verify now, to check whether it's complied with or not. And they use the labor cost, material cost, and overheads. Labor cost you need to be verified now because labor cost, if you look at accounting for labor management accounting, you might study number of hours multiplied by standard rate. Because if the labor cost is wrong, then inventory cost is also get affected. Because I'll tell you one thing. When it comes to labor cost, relevant costing and irrelevant costing is also matter. Idle time, you can't take it. Inefficiencies, you can't take. Sunk cost. So I should assess all these things. Ultimately, at the end, cost or NRV, whichever is lower, should be selected. I should verify cost also. I should verify net realizable value also. How to ensure net realizable value? Do market research to ensure estimated selling price is right or wrong. Whether it is properly discounted. Why? Estimation is not a conclusive figure. It's a judgmental figure. What sort of estimate and factors taken into consideration? So you should perform cost test. You should perform NRV test. Because here they are talking about inventory valuation. So valuation is the assertion. IAS to cost or NRV is the issue. Is my explanation understood? Now students, see my perspectives. See my perspectives. Inventory is an asset. Agreed or not? Asset. Asset should be recognized in the financial statements when it is exist. When it is exist. That's why non-current assets, IAS 16 property, plant and equipment should be initially recognized at cost. Subsequently, it can be recognized cost or revalued amount. Reason why it is initially recognized at cost. Did anyone ask this question from your lecturers? Why, sir, initially it should be recognized at cost? Reason, existence. That's why we do existence check. Asset register, physical existence, compare periodically. Whatever in the ledger, whatever in the register, asset register, should be exist at physical. When it is physically exist, when you have legal ownership, when you have substance over. So here also, inventory is an asset. That's why ledger, inventory, stock count. Stock count, physical inventory, ledger, book balance, compare both. Simple. Existence matters. Inventory also recognize that cost or NRV, whichever is lower. Cost means that because it's a resource. Inventory is a resource, asset. Asset is a resource controlled by the entity. When you can control, when it is exist. I'm not moving away from the standard. Huh? When you feel these type of questions are difficult, simply your standard knowledge is limited. Your standard knowledge is limited. When your accounting standard knowledge is good, these areas you can break easily. So when you are finding a case, find out what standard it is. Read the standard properly. Apply that standard here. I'll tell you certain procedures now. But I know I did ACCA. I did CA. I did my BSc, Chapura, Chavathanapura University, Kalam University MBA. So all these, my field is related to studies, right? So last almost 14 years, I'm continuously doing the same thing, teaching, right? I can easily think up to this level and I can break these things. Practically think a student after O levels or A levels school, no audit firm experience. First time that person is doing audit after FR. When he read, he can't think the way that I think. Obvious. For that also, I should give a solution. So I can show, okay, this is what you should write 100%. But I should think from the lower end also. The lower end, what is my suggestion is, you should know the standard, but you know, take it to the scenario. If you don't know anything, make it very simple. Every standard have initial recognition criteria, measurement criteria, presentation criteria, disclosure criteria. The disclosure is common for all the standards. Simple procedure, review financial statement disclosure related to cost NRV. So all the disclosures as one procedure you can write. They ask 6 procedure. If it is a case study based problem, take it as a disclosure. It's a matter. One procedure is that. It is constant. For all the things you can write disclosure as one thing. So I can tell some procedures to you all. See, I told you existence matters when it comes to resources. So obtain inventory list from the ledger and agree inventory list from the stock count, sorry, listing, inventory listing, and agree to 2.4 million. Completeness. That ensure the cost is correct. How much of products are there? What is the price? Compare, simple. I'm giving 1,000 rupees to my wife. I ask her to buy things. She bought things, 800 worth of things. At the end of the day, I'm asking what happened. 800 worth of product, 200 balance. Get tallied with 1,000. No problem. That is what I'm trying to do here. Second thing, here, the quantity of the goods, physically exists quantity of the goods, can compare with what? The ledgers. And you can, third procedure, you can perform NRV test. You can perform NRV test. Right. And also one thing you can do, if you studied costing, you can do this. Standard cost per unit. Standard cost per unit. Material cost, direct material, direct labor, direct overhead is prime cost. Production overhead is total production cost. Non-production overhead is total cost. Take total production cost, standard cost, production cost per unit. And we are doing stores ledger. In the stores ledger, inventory received, inventory issues, inventory balance. From there, we can identify what? Number of units. Multiply that number of units with the standard cost per unit equal to total. They ask like this. They ask inventory valuation. Question is correct. Venkat's doubt is, sir, they ask inventory valuation. So we should write only valuation, not with other things. Right. What I am trying to tell you is, right. Here, what they mean here is not valuation assertion. They said how inventory is valued here. You understood? This is not an assertion specific question. That's why again and again I told you, when it comes to a standard case study questions, that is not a specific assertion question. Venkat is understood. They named it as inventory valuation. Okay, right. And also you can compare the sales price over the time. Sales price trend analysis, sales price over the time. Right. And that can be compared with the demand also. Let's say one curve trend analysis, you scatter diagram, you can do, right? Sales, demand. If the sales and demand goes in the same direction, see, sales, demand. Fair enough. Sales, demand, problems. Simple here. The simple here. To ensure the net realizable value is a best estimate or not, because it's an estimate. So can compare the sales, actual sales with the budgeted sales, that we call flexible budget. Comparing flexed information with actual information. You might study this in PM, performance management. Budgeting, flexible budget. Actual figure, compare with flex information. Standard to actual. Compare these two to ensure the variance. If the variance is adverse, yes, the statement is correct. I budgeted unit is 100, actual sold unit is 50. Because of a demand reduction, actual is lesser than budgeted. So you can write all these procedures. Don't think assertion perspective now. Think always what perspective? Standard perspective. Students understood what I said. Are you comfortable with inventory? It's a very basic standard. Is that clear, students? Is that clear? And second one is receivable. They are talking about receivables. That includes certain risk. Read. Try to write down the answers. So always think in risk response perspective. How are you going to solve a problem? How are you going to solve a problem? Because the problem is given here, not the element. So you can't just by heart and write here. Okay, you should solve it. Right. Okay, I thought of doing more standard-based questions, like case study-based procedures. We'll do that also, because most of the students are telling like comparatively discomfort. Okay, so Saturday we are meeting again. Saturday we are meeting again. Tuesday we are meeting again. Thursday also we are meeting again. If possible, in between we'll meet one more day. In between we'll meet one more day to discuss substantive procedures. Okay. Okay, fine. With that point, I'll stop for today. I have another lecture. Right. Are you comfortable with the sessions? Are you comfortable with that? And the complete marathon portion is covered. Right. Are you comfortable? Are you comfortable with my teaching? Is that clear? Understandable? Is that clear? Understandable? Ah, oh my God. Sir, timetable. Sir. Okay, I'll read it. Don't worry. Sir, study plan. Okay. Yeah, fine. I put a study plan. I'll share that with you all today. Okay. Today night I'll share a study plan with you. Like Excel, what you should focus for next few weeks. Right. With all the details, I'll put a study plan. Don't worry. Okay. Today night I'll share. For Indian, Sri Lankan, both students I'll share. Right. Fine. With that point, I'll meet. Again, we are meeting Saturday. Right. So I put a text and the links will be shared with respective people. Okay. Thank you. See you all. Yeah, Abhinaya, I'll reply today. I'll reply today. Don't worry. I'll reply now. Don't worry. Yeah, Shiva. Okay. For all of your doubts, I'll reply. Don't worry.